Hello, it is time for math with Mrs. Depperschmidt. As we continue our work with decimals, we're going to practice some more with writing different kinds of fractions. But first, I thought you might like me to give you some more clues to that mystery number. Just a moment. I have clue number 3. The other two clues were first, I am a number with a decimal. I am between 40 and 50. Next, clue number 3 says, the digit in my ones place is 6. And finally, clue number 4. The value of the digit 8 is 8/10. What digit am I? Please write that down and put it in my basket, on my desk at school. I'm excited to find out that you can deduce from some clues a secret number. Next, let's move on with our practice of decimals. One thing I'd like you to understand is that decimals can have placeholders of 0. They make it easier to find and remember to use the decimal, and they help us process the idea that we're talking about fractions and little pieces. I've drawn some examples here of placeholder zeros in some decimals. 0 and 3/10 right here has a placeholder 0 in the ones place to show us that there aren't any whole items, objects, that we're working with. That's also the same thing as 30/100. There are two placeholder zeros here, one right in the ones column, the other one in the hundredths column. Those zeros don't need to be there, but they're helpful. So if you see decimals without those placeholder zeros, don't get anxious about it. I've also shown the fraction notation for these same two decimals. This one is 3/10 and this one is 30/100. You can see that those are referring to the same amount because if we use our technique for simplifying fractions or finding the simplest form, dividing the numerator by 10 and the denominator by 10, we get 3/10. So placeholder zeros are nothing to get too anxious about, but you'll see them a lot when you work with decimals. Some more tricks, I guess I'd say, when working with decimals is being comfortable writing decimals. We have 3 parts we'll work on this time. We're going to write decimals with ones, tenths, and hundredths. We've practiced that way at school a little bit. We'll work some more on that. Also, this time we'll add the notation with mixed numbers and also improper fractions. So here we go. When we're talking about ones, tenths, and hundredths, the expanded form looks like this. We've done lots of work with expanded form with larger amounts, but when we're working in tenths and hundredths, expanded form is very similar. There's a number, a digit, and a word label that tells us the place value. I'm hoping that you have this in your head, or else that you have written down that this in decimal notation looks like this. Whole number 6, because there are 6 ones, and 34/100. That's what decimal notation is, using ones, tenths, and hundredths. And now we'll move on with mixed numbers. In fact, the one we just did is a mixed number. Mixed meaning it has wholes and parts. Here's another mixed number. 4 wholes and 19/100. We can see, because we have the fraction of 100ths in the denominator, that we can use decimal notation for this. We know that we have 4 wholes, so we start with 4 in the ones place. The decimal point is where we say and. And now we just include our 19/100ths. The last digit is in the hundredths place. We've regrouped 10 of these 19/100ths into the tenths place, and that's how the decimal form looks for 4 and 19/100ths. Okay, last but not least, we'll write the decimal form for a couple of improper fractions. It might be a little bit rusty, but I'll tell you that improper fractions are fractions where the numerator is way larger than the denominator. We've got 83/10. Now if we have that many little tiny pieces, I know that 10 of these makes a whole one. So if I count 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, that I have made 8 whole units. So that we know that this improper fraction as a mixed number is going to be 8 and some amount of tenths. We can't go clear to 90 because we only have 83. In decimal form, 83/10 is 8 and, let's see, 8 little 80/10 makes 8 whole ones, and then we have 3/10 left over. 83/10 is the same as 8 and 3/10. Now we'll do one with 100ths. 124/100ths is another improper fraction. So we're going to have a mixed number when we reduce this to its simplest form. Right. Okay, we know that if we have 124 pieces and they are 100ths of the whole, when we have 100 of them, that makes a whole one. So we can put 100 of this 124 all together to make 1, and we've got 24/100ths that we didn't count yet. So this improper fraction, written as a decimal, is 1 and 24/100ths. It would be a great idea for you and your family to practice some of this decimal notation, especially with improper fractions. I'm excited about your progress with fractions, or with decimals, and your understanding of how they are related to fractions. We're doing great. We'll continue our work with decimals on into the rest of the month of April. I hope you have a great evening. Please remember to be kind, and I will see you at school.